Amber Heard hires Philadelphia law firm to appeal Johnny Depp verdict. Heard's team announced Monday that she hired David L. Axelrod and J. Ward Brown of Ballard Spahr to represent her in her trial. Let's zoom in a little bit. Actress Amber Heard has hired Philadelphia law firm after she lost a defamation trial brought on her ex-husband, JD. Heard's team announced Monday that she hired David L. Axelrod and J. Ward Brown of Ballard Spahr, is that how you pronounce it, to represent her in appeal. In June, a jury in Virginia awarded Depp, the star of Pirates of the Caribbean, $10.4 million, saying Heard lied about the allegations. That's a little bit of a summary. Axelrod and Brown will lead the appeal, while Ben Roddenborn of Wood Rogers Vendeventer Black will continue to represent Heard as co-counsel. Elaine Charleston Bredehoff of Bredehoff, Cohen, Brown, and Nadelhoff is stepping down. So that means goodbye, Elaine, and goodbye, Mr. Nadelhoff. We welcome the opportunity to represent Ms. Heard in this appeal as it is a case with important First Amendment implications for every American. David L. Axelrod and J. Ward Brown said in a joint statement. We're confident the appellate court will apply the law properly without deference to popularity, reverse the judgment against Ms. Heard, and reaffirm the fundamental principles of freedom of speech. In a defamation suit seeking $50 million, Heard alleged, I don't think we need to read that part or that part. Is there anything new here? A spokesperson for Heard said that the appeal was once again a matter of protecting the freedom of speech. When it comes to protecting the fundamental right of freedom of speech, we look at the jury's decision to paraphrase a famous quote, not as the beginning of the end, but merely as the end of the beginning. A different court warrants different representation, particularly so as much new evidence is now coming to light, a spokesperson for Heard said. Well, I think a lot of people just thought it was really interesting that they, I mean, depends on what you want to believe, but I think like I think what they announced was that Elaine was stepping down, but people were like, oh, Elaine probably got fired. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that, like, let's say, for example, if you guys do think that Elaine was fired, and Amber Heard was like, bye-bye, that it was really interesting that Ben Roddenborn was kept on the team too. Because it's just like, well, why don't you just keep both of them? Or maybe the legal bills for Elaine were so exorbitant that maybe she couldn't afford to have both. Or Axelrod and Brown and having Elaine as well. I don't know. That's a lot of attorneys. And we don't know how much Ben Roddenborn is getting as well. So, but I mean, what are your guys' thoughts? Did you guys think that Elaine was more, who do you think was the stronger attorney for Amber Heard? Elaine or Roddenborn? Roddenborn scares me too. Why? Nadelhoff is so shook. Nadelhoff was like, he was just like low key, okay? No one really paid attention to him because mostly Elaine took the limelight, Roddenborn did, but Nadelhoff, I think a little bit when they were making fun of him for the objection thing, and they kept mixing up with Roddenborn. But towards the end of the trial, Nadelhoff had some hallmark fucking facial expressions, okay? That man was pretty funny. You just gotta look at him carefully. Roddenborn was the strongest. Okay, all right. Yeah, I think Roddenborn, to me, I felt like he was way more effective than Elaine was. Seems like a very sharp lawyer. I didn't like his tone. I thought he was very whiny. Like, he'd always be like, oh, Your Honor, but me. Like, I don't know. He was a very whiny lawyer. And it was funny to see him get shut down by Ben Chu. But I thought he was, more sharper than Elaine, in my opinion. Not that I'm saying that Elaine was like a horrible lawyer or anything, but she definitely, I don't think she performed very well during that trial, just from like a normal person's perspective. But it seems like she had like a lot of hiccups, and she kind of just like, I don't know, she was like, she was human. She was prone to fucking up and shit. But I feel like when everyone's watching, it's like a high profile case, you kind of have to be like at your best, at your sharpest. And we just weren't really getting that from Elaine. So Ben Roddenborn is going to stay on the trial. Elaine, goodbye. Nadelhoff, goodbye. But I do want to look into Elaine a little bit because, I'm very curious as to why Elaine was hired in the first place. I think when Amber Heard's other attorney, when she stepped down, Roberta Kaplan, who is like a famous attorney apparently for like, she did like the whole like the Time's Up campaign. And I think she was the one that recommended Elaine. I don't know how they knew each other or anything, but yeah, I was just very curious, like how did they get Elaine? What background did Elaine have that even, just being a little bit nosy, like, oh, like this is Elaine right here. So this is her law firm. We have Elaine on here. And then we got Mr. Nadelhoff on here. But I was like, okay, let's look at Elaine really quick because I just want to know like what previous like what's her background? What has she done? Does she do like a lot of defamation stuff? Does she like represent like, celebrities? But Miss Bredehoff, a native of northern Minnesota, has successfully tried case in state and federal courts in Virginia, District of Columbia, and Maryland since 1984. It's a long time. And then these are all of her accolades. She was like top lawyers and stuff like that. She was a super lawyer. 2009, recognized as Virginia's most influential women by Virginia lawyers. She was a best lawyer since 1997. 2003, Ms. Bredehoff was inducted into American College of Trial Lawyers, an honor limited to the top 1% of attorneys in each state. And yeah, just a lot of her stuff. But I just want to see like, oh, what are some like cases that she's tried? So we got some of her mentions here. Yeah, so I guess these are some of her like major cases. I'm assuming she's not going to put the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing on here, right? Yeah, so it seems like she did a lot of like the employment trials. And then we have employment plaintiff here, best lawyers. What year is this from? Same thing, Elaine Bredehoff. Employees who want to sue their workplace for things such as harassment and discrimination count on these lawyers. We have Elaine there. So yeah, I was just very curious of how they even chose Elaine. But it seems like she mostly focused on like employment stuff. So this is from 2007. Washingtonian magazine names Elaine Charleston Bredehoff as one of the top 20 attorneys in the area. Elaine Bredehoff, you won't see her face on the side of a bus or plastered on a billboard. What is this article? But for 23 years, this Minnesotanian turned Virginian has been the area's most effective personal injury lawyer. Okay, so she does that as well. Specializing in employment cases. Bredehoff in 2006 won a $5 million decision from the historically stingy Virginia Supreme Court in the breach of contract case on behalf of an executive fired by his company for alleged mismanagement. She won $2.2 million for a real estate agent fired when she was pregnant. Oh, that's some fucked up shit. What the hell? For executives under threat from new corporate owners, Bredehoff, who works out of Ruston, has been a savior in a legal landscape not always kind to plaintiffs. So, yep, so she does like employment stuff or employment cases. Oh, we got Elaine over here. This is in 2004. Elaine Charleston Bredehoff has a photo of a lion hanging above the desk in her Reston, Virginia office. That inspires me, she says. Indeed, the 45-year-old Bredehoff is an aggressive plaintiff-sided employment litigator who isn't afraid to try cases, and she's had her fair share of wins in Virginia and D.C. courts on behalf of clients suing their employers. Yet, Bredehoff more or less fell into employment law when she hung out her shingle in the early 90s. In fact, one labor law class she took at the Catholic University Columbus School of Law was so boring I thought I was going to die. Bredehoff started as a general litigator in 1984 at a small McLean firm in Walton and Adams. In her first year, she was trying cases. Damn. And she was winning. Most of the cases she brought went to trial because it was the concept of a young, dumb female, she says. No one would settle with me. But juries seem to love Bredehoff. In her third jury trial, the judge has set aside the award in the case of excessive. Just after 3 years at the firm, 30-year-old Bredehoff made partner. Wow, that is actually pretty fucking crazy. 3 years after, she started her own firm known as Charleston Bredehoff. On April 15, 1991, the day she moved in, her new office was a mess. When her phone rang, she had to dig around to find it. The call was from Loudoun County housing official claiming her supervisor verbally ate her because of her gender. Bredehoff took the case, referring to her old firm, and following a year, the jury awarded the woman more than 70. I was like, does that say 70 million or is it just $70? Are we missing? Oh, it's cut off. Okay, we're missing something, but I'm sure it's more than just like $70, okay? And attorney's fees, a large amount at that time. A story about the verdict ran on the front page of the Washington Post, and all hell broke loose, Bredehoff calls. I became the employment lawyer unwittingly. By now, Bredehoff has tried more than 100 cases. She says she gets between 50 and 100 cases for her services, had to set up a screening system, which includes an oral interview and questionnaire to help her choose cases. Bredehoff's recent victories include a $415,000 award in a 2001 case in which she represents suing the Titan Court for race, age, gender discrimination. The man was fired during a something force because he was a white man, and the company had already fired too many women, says Bredehoff. In 2000, she also won a $3.1 million verdict in the U.S. District Court of the Eastern District of the former Leesburg Chief Police, Keith Stiles, who was fired after he reported misuse of something by the town manager and town council member. The town settled with Stiles for more than something while an appeal was pending. She was willing to explore every possible aspect of the case, says Stiles. She was absolutely something that she understood the entire scope, all the nuance and subtleties. Yo, how are you going to cut off the article like that? Come on now. Who uploaded this on Elaine's website? Come on now. You know how to use a fucking upload or copy machine or something like that? Good Lord. She was worth every penny, declares Stiles, who was awarded more than $200K in attorneys, something like that. One Northern Virginia defense lawyer says Bredehoff is aggressive, persistent, and can be something opposing counsel, but she's effective. What do you think that word is right there? Can be aggressive? No, they already used the word aggressive. In fact, he says if he needed an employment lawyer, he would have to put her on the shore or something I would consider. Okay, so employment law, that's her Jimmy Jam right there. That's why she's been getting all these like accolades and like, recognitions and stuff like that. So it's like, what was she doing Amber Heard's case, So, I'm sure Elaine will just go back to doing what she's known for best, her bread and butter, which is focusing on employment cases. And maybe it's less stressful. Maybe it's better for her. But, I think mentally it's probably better for her. Aggressive, persistent, annoying. Yeah, her emails do be pretty annoying. That's a little bit of background story about Elaine Bredehoff. She's not dead. I was gonna say, may she rest in peace. She ain't dead. She's still alive. May she live out the rest of her life doing what she loves. And I don't know. Good luck to her. I want to take a look at Ben Roddenborn as well, because I was like, okay, well, how the fuck did Ben Roddenborn get on the case? Like, what's his background story? Maybe he does like defamation stuff. Maybe he's had like high profile celebrity cases. I don't know. Let's see what Ben Roddenborn is all about. Because I'm nosy. Ben Roddenborn practices in emerging growth, government investigation, white-collar criminal defense, litigation practice groups at Wood Rogers. Ben Roddenborn has extensive experience representing clients in a complex civil litigation matters involving fiduciary duty, general commercial law, private equity, venture capital, securities, intellectual property, and product liability. Okay, I don't know. I wonder how Amber Heard and her team chose Roddenborn too. Ben practiced at both trial and appellate levels in the federal state courts as a litigator. Before joining Woods Rogers in 2012, Ben was a partner in the Chicago office of international law firm Kirkland & Ellis. I don't know, because like, if you're going to go to trial, right, wouldn't you want to stick with lawyers that are like specialized in certain things that you're litigating over, right? It's like when you're like getting, when you go into a doctor, right? If you got like arm issues, you go to a general doctor and they refer you to to a doctor that knows more about, I don't know, if it's like bone or if it's like tissue, if it's like nerves or something like that. Like you just go to like a specialty person. His career highlights include representing venture capital directors in a breach of fiduciary duty lawsuit brought by former shareholders in a technology startup company. He also defended a Fortune 50 company in a suit seeking specific performance of $15 billion merger contract. Ben is ranked as a rising star by Super Lawyers Virginia. All right, that's a little bit of background story about Mr. Ben Roddenborn. Mr. Roddenborn, principal. Is principal in... I want to know this real quick. Partners own a substantial portion of the company, while individuals both hold roles at the same time. Principals tend to have more control over the processes within a company. They can implement or edit current initiatives and structures within the organization. Okay, because I was like, is principal the same thing as partner? Like, what does it mean? Mr. Roddenborn looked like he just got back from vacation or something in this picture. He's looking pretty tan here. It's fun in his background. Before joining Woods Rogers in 2012, Ben was a partner in the Chicago office of international law firm Kirkland & Ellis LLP. His career highlights include representing venture capital directors in a breach of fiduciary duty lawsuit brought by former shareholders in a technology startup company. He also defended a Fortune 50 company. We're at that already. Ben is ranked as a rising star by Super Lawyers in Virginia. The Waynesboro, VA native graduated with the highest distinction of the University of Virginia, earned his law degree at Stanford Law School, where he served as the president of the Stanford Law and Policy Review. After graduating, Ben served as a judicial clerk for the Honorable David G. Campbell, U.S. District Judge for the District of Arizona. He has served as an adjunct professor at the University of Virginia School of Law. Oh, representative cases. First Amendment. Oh, okay. Because you guys remember, Ben Roddenborn mentioned like the First Amendment defense a lot, right? I think he did in his closing argument too. Represented sports writer in IP and defamation actions regarding ownership of writer's social media account. Interesting. Represented owners of a large franchise, business and defamation action brought by former employees and business partner. represented investment advisory firm in dispute with former affiliate relating to allegedly defamatory statements. Okay, so I can see why he's relevant.